Welcome to Karma's Harvest. Today we explore a story of cold-hearted greed, met with the unshakable wisdom of a father who knew exactly when to strike back. This is a journey from betrayal to a justice that speaks louder than words. Arthur Sterling was a man of quiet dignity. A retired structural engineer, he had spent his life building bridges that could withstand the fiercest storms. But at 75, he realized that the most dangerous cracks weren't in the steel and concrete he had worked with for decades, but in his own home, specifically in his daughter Claire. Claire had always been ambitious, but as she entered her 40s, that ambition had fermented into a sour, demanding entitlement. She looked at her father's sprawling estate, a beautiful Victorian home, and a lifetime of wise investments, not as a legacy to be cherished, but as a prize that was taking far too long to claim. The tension reached its breaking point on a rainy Tuesday. Claire didn't come with flowers or tea. She came with a legal team. She filed a petition for conservatorship, claiming Arthur was senile and mentally incapable of managing his fortune. Her evidence? Arthur had recently donated a significant sum to a local animal shelter and had forgotten where he'd placed his reading glasses once or twice. To Claire, a father's generosity was delusional, and a senior's lapse in memory was dementia. "Dad, it's for your own good," Claire had said, her voice dripping with a rehearsed clinical sympathy. "You're not yourself. You're throwing money away on stray dogs when you should be thinking about the family." Arthur didn't argue. He didn't even raise his voice. He simply adjusted those lost reading glasses and looked at his daughter with a gaze that had assessed the structural integrity of skyscrapers. "If that's how you feel, Claire, then we shall let the law decide." The courtroom was cold. Claire sat on one side, flanked by lawyers wearing a mask of tragic concern. She presented testimonies from hired specialists who spoke about the cognitive decline of the elderly. She painted a picture of a confused old man being exploited by charities. When it was Arthur's turn to speak, the room fell silent. He didn't look like a man lost in the fog of age. He stood tall, opening a leather-bound folder. "Your Honor," Arthur began, his voice resonant and steady, "my daughter believes I am senile because I chose to support the Golden Tail Animal Shelter. She believes that because I do not spend my money on her lifestyle, I must have lost my mind." He then presented a document that turned the tide like a tsunami. It was a comprehensive neurological evaluation from 3 of the country's top specialists, conducted in secret, just a week before Claire filed her petition. The results were flawless, but he didn't stop there. "I may be old," Arthur continued, "but I am an engineer. I track everything. Here is a ledger of every loan I have given my daughter over the last 5 years. Loans, she claimed, were for business, but were spent on luxury vacations and designer handbags. I am not the one who is confused. I am the one who has been far too patient." The judge leaned forward, scanning the documents. The senility case didn't just crumble, it evaporated. Claire's face turned a ghostly shade of white. As she realized her father hadn't been slipping away, he had been watching her. The final blow came 3 days later. Arthur called a meeting at his lawyer's office. Claire arrived hoping for a reconciliation, or perhaps a settlement to save face. Arthur sat behind the mahogany desk. "Claire, you wanted my inheritance early. You wanted to ensure my assets were protected, and you were right. They do need protection from someone like you." He slid a document across the table. It was his new will. "I have officially restructured my estate," Arthur said calmly. "The house, the investments, and the savings are now in an irrevocable trust. Upon my passing, or should I truly become incapacitated, the entirety of the estate will be transferred to the Golden Tail Animal Shelter. They will use the funds to build a new wing for senior dogs creatures who, unlike some humans, understand the meaning of loyalty." Claire gasped. "You can't do this. I'm your only daughter." "And you have been paid in full," Arthur replied, handing her a final envelope. Inside was a bill for the legal fees he had incurred, defending himself against her lawsuit. The inheritance you earned is the realization that greed is a very poor investment. You tried to prove I was unfit to manage my life. In doing so, you proved you were unfit to be a part of it. Arthur walked out of the office, his step lighter than it had been in years. He didn't look back. He had spent his life building bridges, but that day he finally learned the value of burning one that led to a dead end. Karma doesn't always come with a thunderclap. Sometimes it comes with the quiet stroke of a pen and the peaceful bark of a dog who finally has a home, thanks to a man who was far too wise to be fooled.